In the words of Gareth Evans, it's time to change our one-size-fits-all funding system and let diversity develop. Changes to the system will be controversial, but real change is required if Australia is to offer its young people a real choice in education and produce graduates to match the best in the world. That's Gareth Evans, one of the long-term Labor members of this parliament. There is no question, Mr Deputy Speaker, within the higher education system about the need to reform the sector. Despite the Labor Party's rallying of radicalised left-wing student groups to oppose these reforms, they are in fact welcomed by a majority of providers and prospective students. They are welcomed because it's only through these reforms that we can continue to maintain and grow prosperity and ensure that our students remain educationally best equipped to meet market needs into the future. The Leader of the Opposition's willingness to go around the country aligning himself to radicalised, hard left-wing unionists and professional student politicians that have shown themselves to be the rabble they are, burning effigies, bullying ministers and bullying former members of parliament as they try to argue the case for reform, is simply due to the fact that the red flag wavers are the only ones opposing these reforms. Those opposite attend these rallies with great enthusiasm, not because they want to, but because they can't find anyone else willing to stand next to them. David Gonski, Chancellor of the University of New South Wales, and, as I said, the former Labor Minister Gareth Evans, have all given their broad support for these reforms. Mr Deputy Speaker, it was only a few months ago in my office that I hosted a number of university students who wanted to put their case to me in relation to the budget measures that had been announced. And what I found very interesting about that meeting was, firstly, that they didn't come in too many a number. That surprised me. I thought they might have needed a coach. But the number that did turn up, when I asked them what the cost of their degree was, they didn't exactly know. They had a rough figure. And I said to them, how much of that does the government pay? And their quick response, both of them, said, nothing. We have to pay it back through this damn HEX. And I said, is that right? You pay it all. So if your university degree is $40,000, your HEX debt is $40,000. She said, oh, well, no, well, my debt's nowhere near that. And I said, exactly. And what the university students themselves do not realise, as mentioned by the member for Herbert a moment or two ago, is that the Australian taxpayer, up until this point in time today, meets the cost of 60% of every university degree in this country. The 40% that remains is in fact the HEX debt to be paid by that student when they get to an income of over $53,000. These university students did not know that fact. I can't believe it, that in this country people understand that, or they believe that they understand that the education is free and that they pick up the total tab. Not true. Mr Deputy Speaker, importantly, for the people in the northwest and west coast of Tasmania, there are a number of measures provided for in this bill that are of particular importance but yet conveniently overlooked by Labor senators in my state. It's these measures which I'll speak about now. Firstly is the fact that it provides important and improved opportunities and support to more students, especially disadvantaged and rural and regional students. And secondly, the reforms will support students wishing to undertake sub-bachelor degrees through the Fee Help scheme. We all know that diploma courses have long provided an important pathway into higher education for less prepared students, giving them the opportunity to develop the skills needed to further their education. This is particularly important in regional and low socio-economic areas such as my electorate in Braddon, where students are less likely, far less likely, to enter directly into higher education compared to students living in metropolitan areas. With less than 43% of the Braddon school leavers having completed Year 12 studies, alternative pathways to higher education are of fundamental importance to many young people in my electorate. By expanding the current system of Commonwealth subsidies and providing support to students completing accredited diplomas, advanced diplomas and associate degrees, the government is allowing students greater opportunity to either enter university or undertake education through a private provider. Has anyone in this chamber today heard Tasmanian Labor senators, or any senator, or any Labor member of Parliament for that matter, talk about these exciting opportunities? And the answer is clearly no. The member for Lalor, who spoke just before me using very alarmist language, said that, that young people in her electorate have given up. Well, I'll tell you why they've given up. It's not because of anything that we have done. This bill has only been introduced this week and we're only debating it today. I'll tell you why people are giving up. It's because leaders in that electorate, i.e. the member for Lalor, have told them to give up, using scaremongering and alarmist language, painting a dim picture that would certainly turn most people off pursuing their dream of further education. She is the member for Lalor, is responsible for the young people in her electorate giving up and looking to the ground instead of the sky. It was her party that in the last 4 years of their term cut $6.6 billion out of the budget for higher education. $6.6 billion, nearly $3 billion of that in the last 12 months alone, not to mention the cutting of research funds across the country. Now, Mr Deputy Speaker, we've got two important outcomes in this bill for students. Firstly, it ensures they are able to study a little at no upfront cost to themselves, even if it's not through a university or TAFE. This alarmist language that says that these reforms will cost people out of commencing a higher education journey is absolutely false. There are no upfront costs. Nothing has changed. So a person from the lowest income, most disadvantaged family in my electorate can step to the plate tomorrow and enter into a university degree that will change their life forever. They can enter into a diploma or associate degree that will change their life forever at no upfront cost. And people opposite, including the Greens, should stop the scaremongering. If they want to have a debate, that's fine. Talk about the facts. Talk about the facts that are on the table, the measures in the bill that are fact, not alarmist language scaring the daylights out of people with untruths. Now, secondly, Mr Deputy Speaker, and just as importantly, it provides the student with the due recognition that undertaking a sub-bachelor degree is of equal value to our community as a university degree. Now, in the northwest of Tasmania, that may mean that a student undertaking a course through a private education provider will not face the difficulty of needing to save up for upfront course fees, but rather can defer those fees through the fee help scheme. This will be a massive help to prospective students in regional Tasmania. Now, despite the feigned outrage by members opposite, particularly the Leader of the Opposition, who claim that students will be worse off under these reforms and that the sky will fall in, the truth is that under their government, many students not only paid interest tied to CPI for their loans, but they were slapped with a 20% plus loan fee. Now, this means if a university charged $30,000 for a degree, students unable to pay up front were actually charged $36,000 for the degree plus interest. This bill proposes to remove that fee and instead using the 10-year bond rate to determine the interest rate and then capped at 6%. By removing all fee help and vet fee help loans which are currently imposed on some students undertaking higher education and vocational education and training, the government is making a real contribution to improving educational and employment outcomes for regional Tasmanian students. I welcome these reforms, Mr Deputy Speaker, because the delivery of the government's commitment to introduce these reforms will change the face of higher education in this country forever. It will give us a fighting chance to place our universities back in the top of the rankings, not falling down the league ladder as we currently see at the moment.